Good to see you, Ingrid.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's not been too long. Purpose of the chat today is just to find out a bit more about you and to find out a bit about your time in the military.
Okay. So you want me to tell you about my time in the military?
That would be really good.
Okay. So I joined the Army when it was the Women's Royal Army Corps. I was permanently employed with the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. So I spent about 9-10 years on a short service commission, essentially as a manager of engineering resources. When I left the regular Army, I transferred across to the ASWAS TA, now Army Reserve.
Oh, yes.
And I've been serving there ever since. And I've had a variety of roles, both within the Corps of REME and outside of the Corps. My current job is working for the Assistant Chief of the General Staff as the Head of Strategy Reserves, which essentially means all things Army Reserve transformation sort of fall on my team that I'm very fortunate to head up.
When you registered with us, obviously something prompted you to register with us. So what was the challenge? What did you find that prompted you to register with us?
So my civilian job was working as a teacher of physics in a state boarding school. And I'm not going to lie, that was primarily because both of my children were in education. My daughter's now gone to university and the nest is empty. And therefore it was an opportunity for me to do something completely different. I really was quite terrified about the whole idea of trying to find a new job, not having done it for a significantly long amount of time. That's not very good English, but you know what I mean. And actually chatting to one of my one-star colleagues in Army headquarters, he suggested that I reach out to the Forces Employment Charity. I'm going to be honest, didn't really know that you existed. I thought of the Officers Association, didn't realise that there'd been that amalgamation. But through this contact, I reached out to yourselves and was very delighted to be put in touch with yourself, which was just a godsend, really, because it's quite a difficult journey moving from a career that you've been set in for such a long time into something completely different. So to have somebody holding your hand and giving you wise words of wisdom was really, really, really beneficial.
So in terms of the recommendations and the advice I gave you, what was helpful?
Your confidence that I would find a job. I think the reality of the time frame that you said, it's not going to happen overnight, but by a certain time, I think it was 3 or 4 months in the future, we should have found something. Your advice with regards to increasing my LinkedIn network, how to pull together a CV, how to target it to specific roles. And then once the initial contact was made with Centrica, how to negotiate your way through that pathway from being not employed to actually being employed. It was really great just to have you as a sounding board to say, I've got this email, what do I do? Was really, really helpful. So I think it's that whole, just that support network, really, plus the expert advice on how to get a job.
So what opportunities is this opening up for you?
Oh, huge. I mean, it's a completely new career at a time in my life when I probably should be thinking about not starting a new career. I've got a huge and exciting future ahead of me in an industry that I didn't really know existed, in a role that I definitely didn't know was possible to go and do, surrounded by a bunch of people who are fantastic, in a company that I really do believe they have similar values to the Army. And I think, genuinely they come across as being a really great organisation to work for. So, I mean, just for the records, everyone who's listening to this, I'm going to be an offshore supervisor on the Rough 3 Bravo gas platform, which is in the middle of the North Sea.
For Centrica.
Energy Storage Plus, which is a subsidiary of Centrica Group.
So I think you are in the right space.
Yes.
And I'm really happy. I'm really pleased that Forces Employment were able to support you with that.
Yeah, and I think I've been really lucky that I think one of my big fears about moving roles was I know that I'm not a 9-to-5 behind a computer in an office kind of a girl. I would have found that exceptionally challenging. So actually to have found a role that is both technically orientated in a company that's got values that I believe in, but also with a style of working which is sort of outdoorsy, active, it just fits, it just ticks all of the boxes. And I genuinely couldn't have found anything more perfect. So I am so delighted, thank you. So delighted.